Well, when we think about virtual land, think about Minecraft. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Minecraft is an endless world where you could do things, you could build things, right?
Hmm.
So pretty much Sandbox and Decentraland were the first two to begin this, right? So
Hmm.
they began this about 2017, and they became official about last year. This only happened last year in July. A piece
Okay.
of plot. So when I say a plot, you get a one by one in this virtual space, almost like a block,
Hmm.
where you could build on it. You could put things on it. You can invite people to your plot. So it's another world in the metaverse, right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting about it that you own that, right? And it's an NFT also because they have a special code for that special plot of land for you.
Sure.
So that's how I found out about it. So I found out about Sandbox, I found about Decentraland, and when I heard about it first, a piece of plot was only $20.
Okay.
Okay, and I honestly missed this opportunity, and I regret it. If you buy land now in Sandbox or Decentraland, you're looking at $10,000 or higher, which is a
Minimum.
crazy increase. Minimal.
Uh,
So then people are saying, well, why is this so expensive? So a couple of reasons. I get this question a lot. So if you're paying 10,000 for land, can they create land unlimited? Can they just keep on creating land and sell it for 10,000? Technically, no. So when it comes to Sandbox and the Central Land, they're only gonna make 177,000 plots. Okay. If they made it unlimited, it's not gonna have no value because they
yeah.
can make any amount of land. So there's going to be
Hmm.
always a supply there, but the supply is limited. Okay.
Okay.
The next thing to consider is like, okay, so why do I want a piece of land here? Number one, commerciality. H&M already has a couple of stores in the metaverse. Adidas has branding. So think about 34th Street. Let's say we had a virtual land on 34th Street. It's the same concept, but it's digital. Advertisement, commerciality, parties, meetups, everything that we do in the real world, you technically could do it in the virtual space.
Yeah.
And what's cool about it is that you could do different activities, right? So in the virtual space, you can play games, you can meet up with tons of people. So pretty much what you could do in the real world, you're gonna be able to do in the virtual space. And that's why it's becoming popular. And a lot of companies are saying, wow, all the millennials or the young kids are going to this space to either meet their friends, to play games, to watch different things, to explore.
Hmm.
So let's bring the world into the virtual space. So that's why it's
Yeah.
becoming very, very popular.
And so you said the influx in price. That I believe that's like a 20x from
Yep.
the current price.
Yep.
So how can people in Latin America, get into that? Like, what do they have to look out for? Like, oh, how can this plot of land be better than this one, or where to go?
Yeah.
Which how can they differentiate between the different games? Because I know some games are different from others.
Yeah, that's a good question. So you also got to think about it just like the real world, right? So let's talk about New York. If you buy a land or apartment in Manhattan in the middle, you're going to pay a premium price. It is the same thing in the virtual world. The closer you are to popular areas in the metaverse, the more expensive your land is.
Hmm.
If you're in an intersection in Sandbox, it's going to cost you more because you have more traffic passing through those intersections. So again, it's technically the same concept. You have to look at it almost like a real estate broker. It's the
Of
same thing.
course.
So if your area is populated, if it's dense, if there's a lot of people, if there's events happening around your area, then you have expensive space. So that's something to look at. However, obviously, we're common people. We don't have a lot of money to spend on some of this space. So it's
Hmm.
ideal. It's okay to get space not in the main areas. There's outskirts. There's different things that you can look at in different areas of the metaverse that you can invest. And
Hmm.
another good investment. So when we talk about the metaverse, and this is another question that I get, how many metaverses there's going to be, right? That's a big question.
Yeah.
And at this point, we don't know. Like right now in crypto, we have 17,000 different coins. They could be more than 100 metaverses, but it's going
Hmm.
to be, who's going to be the top metaverse? Is Sandbox going to be the Bitcoin? Is the Decentraland going to be the Ethereum? So that's up to us decide, the people, like what's going to be
Yeah.
best metaverse.
Yeah, I've played, the Centraland, and honestly, I like it. The only thing that that scares me is that in video games per se, people tend to get bored. Like
Yeah.
people, like once this is done, people just go on to the next game and the next game and the next game. But do you feel like this is different? Do you feel now that companies have adopted it and that they're going to start advertising and they're investing in it? Because big companies are investing in this. Like, Microsoft just purchased
Yep.
Activision. Uh, like you said, Adidas, H&M. Like, do you feel like these games right here, right now, even if more games are going to come out, are still going to be the top dogs? Maybe the new games that come out are going to take some market share or market price. But do you feel like these games, they're just right now too big to fail?
Yeah, I mean, so to your point, I also was on the Centraland, and I think it's a bit boring. I think it's fun in the beginning to walk around and go to different places and see different people. So I think the integration needs to happen is this: you go into, let's say, the Centraland, and then you meet some of your friends. If they could implement AAA games into this space, then we're talking about a different story. And I think they have to
Mm-hmm.
do that in order for that space to move forward. So I mean, we have Adidas, we have Nikes, we have big brands, and again, Microsoft just paid 77 billion for this gaming company. So they're already thinking ahead. They're saying, "Oh, we got to make this AAA type style, so people could
Mm-hmm.
come here, they could play, they could have tournaments, almost like esports, but in the metaverse." So once they
Mm-hmm.
do that, and then it goes to the other category, play to earn, which is going to be another big industry. Once they implement all those elements together, then you have something big. Then it's going to be incredible. It's going to be
So,
absolutely incredible.
mhm. So with the land that you purchase, you said it's an NFT. So in the
Mhm.
contract, can you go over what NFTs are for the people that may not know? And then, can you rent out your piece of land, like real, like real estate, like
Yeah,
today?
yeah.
And then do you have to, you could put your artwork, you could put, like what can once you purchase the land, what can be done?
Yeah, so NFTs, right? So NFT is a non-fungible token. Pretty much, I'm sure everybody sees JPEGs being sold for millions and millions of dollars, and everybody's like, why is somebody paying $500,000 for a boring ape? Well, an NFT has a special code. So let's say this was my NFT. Obviously, it's not digital, but let's just assume it has a special code within that NFT saying that
Yeah.
out of 3,000, I have one of them in the world, right? And then people are saying, but it's still a JPEG. Why is that so valuable? Well, because some of these NFTs have utility. So if we think about the Boring Ape Clubs, if you own one, you go to exclusive yacht parties, you go to exclusive parties. A lot of celebrities are already buying into it. So it gives you exclusivity. And in the future, it's going to
Wow.
be like concert tickets. So you could have this concert ticket and you could maybe rent out your NFT so they could go to the concert. So there's a lot of case use that people are saying, well, it's just a picture. No, it has more utility. In addition to that, there's another factor that plays into NFT. If we were back then, right? If we were in the 80s, let's just say, and I invited you to my house, I'll say, hey, look at this beautiful painting I have in my house. It's a rare painting, nobody can see it, right? But we
Mhm.
live in a digital world now. And instead of me inviting to my house to show off my painting, I have a digital on my phone saying, hey, this is only 1 in 3,000. Isn't it cool? It also
Yeah.
becomes a showing off aspect. And that's how we live. Everything's about being social, right? So it's
Hmm.
cool to have this rare NFT that you own and it has value, especially for an artist, right? So if you're an artist, you create an NFT, you put your 10,000 pieces on OpenSea, which is the #1 place where you could buy land and where you could buy
Hmm.
NFTs.
Okay.
Every time it sells, you earn 5% on your artwork, right? So you don't have to go through litigations and big contracts. It's a simple process, putting your NFTs there, and forever your NFT sells, you get 5% royalties. Think about music. Think about
Wow.
artists that don't get compensated the right way. Now you could technically set up your own business, sell your artwork, and you don't have to go through lawyers or litigation. It goes directly to your wallet into crypto, which you convert into money. So NFT is not a JPEG that it's overpriced. There's a lot of utilities in NFTs, and companies are looking into it. And it's so popular that companies are just using it into their speeches, into announcements, because it's so popular. They just want to create a buzz in their company. Even if they're not going to do it or it's years in development, they're using that verbiage because they know it's something big coming. I mean, Gary Vee's been talking about it forever. So I'm
Mhm.
sure everybody here follows Gary Vee, and he'll tell you, he had an NFT project, right? He made, it's kind of silly, but it's crazy. So he made a couple of stick figure animals,
Okay.
and they all had like a trader or whatever. He put them on his NFTs. Obviously, he's popular. Of course, it's gonna sell. But at the rate that he sold it, he made 40 million to sell it. And based on the royalties and the resale that people were buying, he made $90 million in like a
Wow.
week.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's amazing. It's pretty amazing. But again, I think for me, the way I look at NFT for artists, for music artists, that back then music artists used to get signed for little money. They'll sell millions of records and get anything. Now again, it goes, when I talk about crypto, it goes power to the people. Give the power to the people. So they could do that now, and they don't have to rely on big corporations to represent them. Now it's an open space for everyone to explore and make or generate wealth for themselves.